welcome to the final lesson for basic English writing. I'm going to get started, and today's topic is the three parts of an essay. This is basic English writing. Next week, I will be going a level up. We're going to be talking about advanced English writing. Okay, so this is a picture from a poster of a movie that was released in 2019. So guess which movie this is. All right, I see some good guesses over there. I will reveal the answer a little bit later on. So stay tuned, don't run away. Let's recap. What are the basic components of writing? You start with letters, and then you go on to words, and then you go on to sentences, that's right, and then you go on to paragraphs. Today, we're going to be focusing on the final component, the final basic component of writing, which is essay. What are the three parts of an essay? We have introduction, the body, and conclusion. So these three parts make up an essay, right? All of you know this, but how do you do that? First part of an essay is the introduction, and blah, blah, blah. This is what it is. Introduction gives readers information, background information about what you're about to tell them. And my suggestion with regards to doing an introduction is to use the 5 wives and 1 husband. Any of you here who are smart enough to tell me what are the 5 wives and 1 husband? Who, what, where, when, why, how? This is simple stuff, but many people take this for granted. They think, I know this. But when it comes to actually doing it in the exam, they don't do it. So you need to remember this. Do the simple things right, the basic stuff right, before you want to try the advanced stuff. Okay, so let's use this as an example. This is an SPM question from last year. Write about the day you first met your best friend. So with this topic, let's say, for example, we use the 5 wives and 1 husband to brainstorm ideas for an introduction. Who? Let's say Aslam. And Aslam is my neighbor. What? Aslam is a boy. Aslam is the same age as I was. Where? My neighborhood. When? 10 years ago, when I was still a kid. I mean, I'm imagining that I'm a 17-year-old in this situation. And why? Why did I become friends with Aslam? Because he's friendly, nice, and generous. And how did I become friends with him? That is the interesting part. We were riding bicycles, and then we got chased by dogs, and boom, that's how we became friends. Don't forget a very important element. When you write an essay, you got to put in this thing. And this thing is called pizzazz. When you write an essay, if you want to go from a C or a D to a B or an A, you got to have some pizzazz, something special, something magical in either your style or your vocabulary or the content of your ideas. So, Aslam, my neighbor, the name of my best friend is Aslam. He was the awkwardly silent kid next door at first, but once he has gotten comfortable with you, he will begin non-stop monologues about his PUBG and Apex Legend achievements. 10 years ago, make a sentence with, we met 10 years ago when we were both short, chubby boys at 7 years old. He had just moved in with his family from Kelantan to our quiet neighborhood in Taman Pandai, Kuching, Sarawak. We met unexpectedly during a dangerous yet serendipitous situation. So if you look at the yellow and the red stuff, those are pizzazz words. When someone reads this paragraph, they will feel like, this person has a deep sense of vocabulary, and this person is able to use their language skills for effect. I don't do it for every sentence. You don't have to. Some of the sentences here are simple sentences. Some of them are compound. Some of them are complex compound. So it's good to have a mix. You don't have to aim for like every sentence has to be a complex sentence. You can see the 4 different components of a paragraph right here. The first one is the topic sentence. This is the analysis, right? I'm comparing him when he is silent and when he gets to know you. And this is details and examples, these 2 here. And this one down here, this is the transition sentence. So the job of the transition sentence is to hook the reader hook their eyes so that they want to read more, so that they won't want to look away from your paper. And if you can do that to your examiner, your essay is definitely going to be up there. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make. They don't bawang enough. Every paragraph is like a bawang. When you open the bawang, there's another layer. You open again, there's another layer. There's layer after layer after layer in the onions. I can stop here and move on to the next paragraph, or I can look at this again and think, what layers can I add to this? How much more bawang can I tambah to this paragraph? At the beginning, I did not put a paragraph starter. More interesting ways where you can start a paragraph that will grab the attention of the reader from the very beginning. And over here, why did they move? Why did his family move from Kelantan to Kuching, Sarawak? I could have added 1 or 2 more sentences just from this information itself. So if you have problems getting to 350 words in your essay, doing stuff like this, membawang, will actually help you a lot. I just mentioned my neighborhood, Taman Pandai, but I can actually write more about my neighborhood. I can talk about like what the houses look like, how many people live there, what cars do they drive, how the weather is like, how many kids are there. So this paragraph has only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. But if I add all these things up, I can easily have like 2 paragraphs of 10 or more sentences. And 10 sentences is about 100 words already. You have already reached a third of your word count by just thinking about the introduction and making your introduction more interesting. So I'm going to ask you a riddle. There are 30 cows in a field and 28 chickens. How many didn't? If you think you know the answer to this riddle, write it down in the group chat. I will reveal the answer later on. Now I'm going to talk about body. The body is where you have the main story arc. When you look at this chart, exposition, conflict, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, what do these things mean? You don't have to memorize what this is. You have to just understand what the concept is. Exposition is basically start the story. Conflict is basically, ayo yo, oh, a problem. There's a problem now. Things are getting interesting. Rising action is up. My heart is beating really hard. We're going up. Like the excitement level is going up. And climax is, when you get a heart attack, like it's too much excitement. And then things go down, you relax, and then you finish. If you want to write a really good essay, you need to follow this formula. So start is basically, okay, one evening, I was riding my bicycle and I was having a lot of fun. Start. This is the idea, but I'm riding a bicycle. Ayo yo! There's a crazy stray dog over there. The dog is barking at me, and when I'm cycling away, the dog starts to chase me. So I cycle faster, right? Fast away. So I'm cycling very fast now. And I'm talking about what's happening as I'm cycling fast. The heart attack is when Azlam is right over there. He's on his bicycle and he is in my way. The dog's behind me. What do? I'm going to crash into him. And so what happens is relax time. Before we crash, Azlam jumps off his bike. I jump off my bike and we jump into the big drain. In the drain, we are safe because the dog is not coming into the drain. The dog eventually gets bored. So the dog walks away. You find out, hey, this kid is my neighbor. Azlam. Okay, nice to meet you. And then you find out, Azlam is very friendly. Azlam is very nice and very generous. That's why I'm his friend now. So you got to have some kind of activity that's happening for you to start your story. And then you got to have a problem. And the problem has got to be exciting enough to get the readers excited about it. Or your style of writing can make a really boring situation really interesting as well. And then you have to push the emotions. You gotta like lift up the excitement higher, up. Heart attack is when something unexpected, something like really dangerous, something really high stakes happens. And that's when the excitement gets to the top level and everybody's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And then you give the solution. That's when relax happens. And finish is when you talk about what happens after you use the solution. And I'm going to show you the answer to this. Which movie does this lamp come from? This poster comes from the Joker poster. Part 3, conclusion. In your conclusion, you've already ended your story in the body part. He's friendly and nice and generous. That's why we're friends. You can actually stop here. But if you stop here, it's not enough. You want to make your essay mean something. You want to make it more significant. What do you do in your conclusion? You tie up loose ends. Tying up loose ends means like, okay, is there another thing that's happening that you haven't concluded? Conclude it. Another thing that you can do is you can project into the future. Talk about what's going to happen in the future. You can talk about your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your thoughts, your reflections. And you can use idioms, proverbs, or quotes here if you want. Our topic was friendship. And so I've looked up some really useful idioms for friendship. A shoulder to cry on. Oh, Aslam is a great friend because he is a shoulder to cry on. I go to him whenever I have problems. So if you're able to use idioms or proverbs or quotations appropriately and correctly, it adds higher level of quality to your essay, but don't overdo it. Proverb that's appropriate would be absence makes the heart grow fonder. We finished SPM. We're going to go our separate ways. Aslan is going to go to Terengganu for university. I'm going to go to Sabah. But I'm confident that our friendship will remain strong because absence makes the heart grow fonder. Or you can also use a quotation. Emerson is a famous American poet and philosopher. Quote, he says, the only way to have a friend is to be one. You can say, I'm really glad that I met Aslam, and I understand that I need to be a friend to him. Because in the famous words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the only way to have a friend is to be one. Boom, that will be a great way for you to end your essay. So I'm going to talk about what we learned today. We learned about the three parts of an essay and how to do them: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. This was the riddle that I shared earlier. There are 3 cows in a field and 28 chickens. How many didn't? What do you think is the answer to this riddle? The answer is there are 30 cows in a field and 20 cows ate chickens. How many cows didn't eat chickens? 30 minus 20? 10 didn't eat chickens. So I'm now going to spend about 10 minutes answering your questions. Those of you with questions, please post them in the group chat and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. The last 30 of you who probably have nothing else to do tonight, feeling lonely, you want to stare at my handsome face, yeah, take a good look because I'm out. See ya!